Why I use kinds instead of modern species. Thanks for dropping in. Please like, share, and follow to support this channel. When I use the word kind, I am not using it as a synonym for modern species. I use it as a higher biological boundary that reflects what I believe are real limits inside living systems. I place kinds closer to what biologists call families, and sometimes broader clades. This allows me to fully accept speciation, adaptation, recombination, and hybridization while still recognizing a firm upper boundary on biological change. In my view, variation happens freely inside a kind. What does not happen is the crossing of a kind boundary. I do not see evidence that natural processes can turn one biological architecture into a completely different one. I also work from the idea that original created populations had extremely high internal genetic diversity. I see modern diversity as the result of gene loss and reshuffling rather than the creation of new genetic systems. I believe most variation comes from unpacking information that was already present, not from building new biological machinery from scratch. Hybridization plays a major role in how I identify kinds. When animals can interbreed, even rarely, I treat them as belonging to the same kind. This includes groups such as dogs, wolves, and coyotes, as well as cattle, bison, and yaks, and also lions and tigers. Hybridization gives me a practical biological boundary that fits what I observe in real organisms. I also separate variation from innovation. I accept that mutations can adjust existing systems and reshuffle traits. I do not see convincing evidence that random mutation and selection can build new functional biological machines. For that reason, I treat kinds as information architecture boundaries rather than simple trait boundaries. I am skeptical of molecular clock models. Mutation rates vary widely, and those clocks are calibrated using assumptions about long evolutionary timelines. Because of this, I do not treat genetic similarity as automatic proof of deep common ancestry. I see it as consistent with common design as well. I also notice that organisms modify and reuse existing gene families. I do not see clear evidence that new major gene families are invented by unguided processes. This reinforces my view that natural change is bounded. In flood-based models, starting populations must be small. This forces kinds to be broad enough to include many modern species while still remaining few enough to fit into a compressed starting population. That practical constraint aligns well with the broader family-level definition of kinds. I do not deny genetic data. I accept DNA similarity, nested hierarchies, chromosomal rearrangements, and shared genetic elements. The disagreement is not about the data itself. It is about how that data is interpreted. I interpret similarity as evidence of shared design rather than proof of universal common ancestry across all life. The central question for me is not whether organisms change. They clearly do. The real question is whether any natural process has been shown to invent an entirely new biological system from scratch. I do not see that demonstration. Because of that, I use the concept of kinds as a way to describe what I believe are real and observable limits inside living biology. That is why I speak in terms of kinds rather than modern species. Please like, share, and follow to support this channel.